the Maori element of our society and also promoting it within our school. And last year we were one of the first schools to introduce compulsory te reo Maori at Year 9 level, just for a half a unit to give all the students a taste of the language, which of course connects with the culture. Interestingly, we got a lot of media attention about that, particularly from the Maori media. And the hardest question, last year when I was talking a lot with the media, the hardest question I had came from a Maori journalist who said to me, given Australia's deplorable record in its management of its Indigenous people, how does an Australian come to be leading the way in Maori education? Which was how do you answer that? Anyway, as has been alluded to earlier, last year was a tough year for us at King's. In a 3-month period, we had 3 unconnected student deaths at the college, and that was very challenging for us, and a couple of other traumatic incidents as well, and we're still dealing with the ongoing consequences of some of those matters. We had to confront a lot of issues head on about life and death and young people, alcohol matters, risk-taking, mortality, suicide and mental health. But it was the strength of the school community and also the support that we received from outside which helped us greatly in dealing with and responding to all that. We found that there was perhaps more in us than we thought in terms of our resilience and our ability to deal with these things, and we were buoyed by that community support. And I'll tell you something interesting out of all this. We ended up having the year finished off really well for us. Our academic results were as good as they've ever been, if not better, and we're anticipating there might have been a bit of a dip because of the disruptions, apart from anything else, that we had with these various events, and yet it all worked out extremely well. We had one of our best years in sport, finishing off in December with winning the national one-day cricket championship. Now rugby team did extremely well, as did our hockey team. We had a very good year in sport, and it was that, there were some lessons out of that, because it was the closeness, it was the mutual support, it was the fact that even in the areas where it was an individual achievement, that came about in part because of the support of others. And that was a really good lesson I think for all of us, and not just students but staff as well, to learn from that. And I would say that community spirit, the messages we got from all over the country, the offers of help, is the same spirit that we have seen in response to the Christchurch earthquake. And you may be interested to know that this is where we tried to do our part as well. And what's the one thing that we as a school could offer? It was education. So we opened our doors to Christchurch students who were not, until they were able to go back to their schools. And we hit a peak last week with 63 students from different Christchurch schools staying with us, filling up our boarding houses. We shuffled things around to squeeze more in, or up here staying with families and friends and coming on to us. 45 from our brother school down there, Christ College, and then a number from other schools, and they're just starting to ease out of the place. Now, interestingly, when we were sending the messages around about them all arriving, we were referring to them as refugees. And one of the teachers said, no, look, you can't call them refugees, that's, we've got to look after these people. So our Maori teacher suggested we call them manahiri, which means honour guests or visitors, with a sense that while you're with us, you're one of us and we'll treat you accordingly. And it's worked out really well, and we enjoyed having those students there. I'd like just to speak briefly about some of our challenges. We have an admissions policy which says that we would like to have a student population which is broadly reflective of New Zealand society, and that's a bit of a challenge for a school like us, but it is something that we are working towards, and we're actually trying hard to develop a significant endowment fund to support scholarships to enable students who would not otherwise be able to come to us to do so. We have some of these schemes already in place, but we're looking at building that over the next few years to try and maintain that cross-section of New Zealand society within our school, from which all of our students will benefit. And then related to that is the goal of trying to keep ourselves affordable, because we are a high-fee school, and currently our fees are at the top end of the scale for independent schools in this country. And so we have to try and develop other sources of income, particularly going through endowment growth, so that we're able to keep our fees at a reasonable level. And our other ambitious aim is to be acknowledged, as I alluded to earlier, as one of the leading independent schools worldwide. And I would say, and I know this would apply in any field, different do believe if you want to be the best in this country, or in any country, you can't just look within your own patch. You've got to look more widely. We're in an increasingly globalised world, and you've got to be looking at what's happening out there, whatever you're doing, to make sure that you are around the mark and that you are open to new ideas and innovation, whilst hanging on to those traditional values that John was talking about earlier. I'd like just to make a few comments about education in New Zealand, and my opening remark is simply this, that there is much to admire in education in New Zealand. The state sector here has in many respects maintained what has been lost in other developed countries throughout the world, and visitors to New Zealand are always impressed with what we see here. The educational issues are similar to what you encounter everywhere. The issues of specialisation as opposed to breadth. At what point do you get the students to narrow down to just a few subjects? It's about looking at internal assessment as opposed to external. All the issues you hear in the NCA debate, which is very much in the media. It's about what is the best preparation for our students to prepare them for what is a world of increasing change, and also to prepare them for life as well, as I was saying earlier. So the debate over a number of these issues is very familiar because they're the same ones which do go on elsewhere. One area that I've probably not heard so much about as we tend to hear where I've come from is the importance of choice and the enshrinement of that as a guiding principle, that people are able to make choices about the education of their children, and that increasingly the young people themselves involved in making those choices. That whatever increases choice and therefore healthy competition is good for the consumer in producing the best standards. What is most important in education and selecting schools is that it is the right school for the child, because each school does have its own particular character, and I think that's one of the great strengths of the New Zealand education system, is that there is a degree of local autonomy and the opportunity for schools to really develop their character, which reflects the needs of their particular community.